Hello and welcome to IFA, Introduction to Financial Aid 101. The topic for Unit 1 will be the FAFSA application, how you apply for it, and what you need to have in order to apply for it. So let's get started. The FAFSA stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid. You will need the following: your Social Security number, your alien registration number. This applies for students that are not citizens but are eligible non-citizen, which means you can live and work in the United States. If you can live and work in the United States and you pay taxes, to make it a little bit more clear or give an example, then you may apply for the federal student aid. You will need the following: tax return for current or the prior year, W-2s. You'll also need bank records of any investments that you may have. Not everyone has this, of course. Records of untaxed income, again, same thing, not everyone has this. And of course, you're going to need the FSA ID to sign your FAFSA electronically, and we're going to be going into that next. The FSA ID is a username that you create yourself in order to be able to sign the FAFSA application as if you were signing the actual FAFSA form, the paper form of the FAFSA. You also create your password during that same process. Now, this information breaks down into student and parent because they have what is called dependent students who are required to have their parents' information on the FAFSA, and their parents are also required to create their own FSA ID and password. If a student submit a FAFSA and they are considered a dependent student but does not have their parent FAFSA information, their parents' tax information on the FAFSA, and the parent did not sign, then the institution for which this FAFSA was completed will not be able to process the financial aid unless the parent's tax information has been added and the FAFSA is signed by them. When you are ready to get started to actually complete the FAFSA application, you will go to FAFSA.gov. You will type in FAFSA.gov, or you may type in FAFSA.ed.gov. As long as you have .gov, you should be in the right place. If you type in .com, then you are in the wrong place. And you will know you're in the wrong place because they will try to charge you to actually complete the application. But as the FAFSA states, it is a free application, in which case you complete it yourself and you do not need to pay to complete it. Just some quick things to know about the FAFSA. FAFSA varies by years. The example given here is the 17-18 FAFSA application and the 18-19 FAFSA application. FAFSA starts essentially what would be like almost as if it starts on July 1st and ends on June 30th of the following year. For example, in this case, it falls July of 2017 and then ends June 30th of 2018. And the same goes for the 18-19, starts July 1st, 2018, and ends June 30th, 2019. Now, you will be creating, just a quick side note, you'll also be creating what is called a safe key. Safe key is basically a 4 to 5 digit number that you create yourself that allows you to, if you ever get kicked out of the FAFSA because you paused for too long and it kicks you out automatically, you have a safe key that you could just, instead of logging in again, you would just type in the safe key and it'll take you right back to where you left off with your information already saved, and you just continue the process. There's sections to the FAFSA. There's the student demographic, student selection, dependency status, and then parent demographic, again, if you are a dependent child, and then financial information. Student demographics is the starting section of the FAFSA. It's basically asking you questions about yourself. The information you enter is really all about you, or as it pertains to you. You'll also need the name of the school for which you will be attending and where you'd like to have your FAFSA sent. For example, Post University has its own school code, which is 001401. If you are attempting to attend or send your FAFSA to multiple schools, you do have the option of entering multiple school code onto the FAFSA application. These are 10 questions that you, during the process of completing the FAFSA application, you will be asked for the FAFSA to determine whether or not you would be considered a dependent student needing your parent information, or an independent student where it's just your information and nothing with regards to your parents. When let's say you answer the questions, stated no to all of the questions, you are considered basically a dependent student. This is the information that is required for your parents. They need to know, are they married, how many people are in the household, the amount of money made. All of this determines how much a student is eligible for, very much like as if a student were applying for it themselves. They would just be looking at the income information. In this instance, they'd be looking at both student and parent income information, not just one. So the information, financial information that it becomes accessible during the FAFSA application is, as I stated earlier, you needed your income information from your taxes. The federal government did make it a little bit easy because they give you the option of using the IRS data retrieval tool, also known as the DRT, data retrieval tool. It allows you to basically input your information into the FAFSA, and it will transfer all your tax information from the year that it's requesting to be put onto the FAFSA application for you. You don't need to manually input the information. It works great. However, if you made a mistake on your taxes, then you may run into an issue and you will have to go in and enter the information manually. Lastly, signing the FAFSA application. This is what the screen will look like. As I stated earlier, student demographics, school selection, dependency status, parent demographic, financial information, and lastly, sign and submit. This is what the sign and submit page looks like. It's giving you two options here because, again, when it is a parent and a student, the parent is required to complete their own FSC ID, and the student also has to have their own FSC ID. If you are an independent student, this option will not be available to you. It would only be this option.